Pig and Whistle Tales from Azeroth. As always, here at the Pig and Whistle in Stormwind, I chat through a variety of subjects in regards to World of Warcraft. So grab a bottle or a pint, sit back and enjoy. Today's subject is all about Phase 6 and beyond. Now, Phase 6 and beyond, basically, we're going to be talking about WoW Classic. Phase 6 is the last phase of WoW Classic from what we know, because, you know, that is it. That is the last raid that they are releasing. That is the last content patch that they are releasing. And we'll be going into possibly, there's two routes that they could take, well, practical routes that they could take after Phase 6 has been released and there is no more content that we know personally as the player base will be coming out. We have no idea what they're looking to do in the future. We have no idea if it's just going to be stale and it will die after Phase 6. So there's a couple routes that they can go down, and these are the most likeliest routes that will be available. But let's start with the Phase 6. So what comes with Phase 6? So you have the very first thing. Now this has been mentioned in a few podcasts of mine actually, but it is a Scourge invasion. And this is the same as what will happen in retail when Shadowlands comes out. It will actually be in just under a week, I believe, the Scourge invasion for retail. And it's the same thing with Classic. Scourge invasion is that you can be turned into a zombie by certain plague crates that are around the cities, and you can infect other people. And during this time, cities can just be absolutely deserted. Like, there can be economy crashes in the game, because no one can get to an auction house. It'll be every man for himself out in the world. You have to go farm stuff yourself. Cities will be a hot hub for trolling, with people just constantly biting more people and turning them into more zombies, and people will be like, I don't care anymore, let's just go along with it. And it will just be a hot hub for trolling and mischief everywhere within every major city. So it's good fun, and it's just there to annoy people, honestly, and it's there to sort of build up the, Naxxramas hype. It's like, yeah, we're going to go in and deal with the Scourge. It gets you angry to kill some undead, pretty much, because you can't kill them. You can't kill the players that are undead. So it gets you angry to go and kill some undead in the raid when they release it a couple weeks later. But the main bulk of Phase 6 is Naxxramas, the new raid. So Naxxramas is the biggest raid in Classic. It's 15 bosses, and that is a lot of bosses, just saying. 15 bosses from what I count, and I'm pretty sure I can count quite well. I really hope that I haven't miscounted, but I'm pretty sure. So 15 bosses, with the last being Kel'Thuzad, which is a very tough boss. From what I've heard anyway, it is possible that they might have nerfed the numbers, or they might have inflated the numbers on private servers like Kronos and stuff like that. But it's going to be a long, drawn out Naxxramas for my guild anyway, because we're not hardcore. We're not a hardcore guild. We won't be going in there with full world buffs. Everyone's flasking. Everyone's got their best consumables. We're quite consumed up. We'll get a couple world buffs and stuff. A few people will have Diamond Tribute, but we're not going to go all out. Like, we're spending about 2,000 gold per run on each raid. It's just nonsense. So it'll be a very long and enjoyable progression run. 15 bosses, that's a lot. All bosses with unique mechanics, and it will give you something to look forward to every week, because it isn't a linear raid. And by that I mean you have 4 different quarters. So you zone into the raid, and the raid itself, you're in the middle, and you've got just a massive circle. A massive circle is the raid map. You can go to the top right, top left, bottom right. Each of these is a quadrant. So you've got the Plague Quarter, you've got the Blood Quarter or something, I believe it's called. But you can go to whichever one you choose first. That means that you can switch it up. You can only do certain bosses if you want. And certain like days, if you just need a couple pieces from this boss, etc. If this boss is more important than this boss in terms of loot drops, then go to that one. So there can be many sort of directions in which you can go when you're in the raid itself. But there are many different bosses, and like I said, they all have different mechanics. You've got Hagen the Unclean, where you have to do something called the safety dance. There's 4 sections of the room, and 3 of them sections will have like plague spew out of them. And if you're in that plague, you die straight up. I just knocked my arm up the chair. I'm not sure if you heard that. But if you get hit by the plague, you die. And it's called the safety dance because each section, you're all in that one section, then you move across to the next section, you move across to the next section, then you go back to the first section. No, you don't go back to the first section, you go back the way that you came through each section again to make it safe. So it's a safety dance. You're essentially dancing in the room to stay safe. Not too sure the first person like to come up with that name is, but I mean it works. Everyone knows it. Everyone knows it within the WoW community who raids anyway. You've got a boss called Gluth, a big giant dog, and the way that we're doing this is he has a mechanic where he spawns zombie chow or something it's called, and these are just zombies, but if the zombies get to him, he'll heal for 2 to 5% of his health. So we're having a mage kite the zombies constantly throughout the entire fight. So that is all this mage's job, just running around, arcane explosion, like picking up these zombies and just running them in a circle. That is what that mage does, and it's a big part of the mechanic or the boss fight, because if he dies, all of them zombies are going to get to the boss, heal him up, and it's essentially a wipe. So you need to really pay attention to bosses in Nax because they all have their different mechanics and it isn't linear. That's the best part about Naxxramas. It isn't linear at all. You can choose to do which quadrant you want, like, at the time. So with Naxxramas, you also need an achievement. Like the first 2 raids, you need an achievement. Molten Core and Blackwing Lair, you need an achievement. And the achievement is a lot simpler, but it can be more expensive. So with the achievement, you need to be at least honoured. Honoured is the very bare minimum with Argent Dawn. And with that, you need to talk to someone called Dos Santos at Lights Hope Chapel, and you will just get a quest to pay her 60 gold, 5 arcane crystals. Now, arcane crystals on my realm are about 90 gold at the moment, so bear that in mind. And 2 Nexus crystals. Nexus crystals you get from disenchanting raid loot. Your guild bank will usually have hundreds, pretty much at this point. And 1 Righteous Orb. So all in all, it's about, 5 times 80 is about 40. So you've got quite a lot, about 500 gold there. It's quite a substantial amount. So the better rep you have with Argent Dawn, the more it goes down. So if you get, after honoured, it is revered. And if you are revered, it costs 30 gold instead of the 60 gold. You have to pay 2 arcane crystals instead of the 5 arcane crystals, and 1 Nexus crystal. So it's immediately dropped below half of what it originally was with just the honoured rep, which is great. That's good fun. And then if you get the max reputation, which is exalted, you just get him for free. It's like, oh, cool. You're friendly with us, yeah, but go kill them Scourge, yeah, go kill them undead. So it's a bit weird that you have to pay them in order to walk into this place to help them clear, the Scourge from their lands. But I mean, yeah, if someone doesn't have the gold and the mats to pay for that, they're just gonna have to deal with it by themselves. In all honesty, and I'm fine with that. I ain't paying a fee to get into a raid. You can go do one with that. But this has inevitably made a influx of dungeon runs on my realm personally. So dungeon runs including Stratholme and Scholarmans, because these are the 2 undead dungeons where you can get Argent Dawn reputation. So there's just been a massive influx and a panic rep grind of these 2 dungeons, which I find quite funny in all honesty. So with Nax, there is one big thing for me because I'm a caster, but not so much for the melees out there, and it is Atiesh, Great Staff of the Guardian. So Atiesh is the first caster legendary put into the game, and in phase 6 is when it is attainable by the classes that can wield it. Now these 4 classes are Mage, Warlock, Priest and Druid. So all of these classes can wield Atiesh, and they have different, and the staff has different stats depending on who's wielding the staff. So with Druids it gives you a nice attack power buff for ferals, plus some mana, like mana regen. Healers, it increases your healing done. Warlocks, it increases your critical strike, I believe. Plus a little bit of like spell power. And the mages, it's the same, apart from it increases hit instead of crit chance, and it's the spell power as well. So, and it gives an aura to your group, depending on who's wielding the staff. So with priests, it might increase the healing of your group by up to like 30 for heals. With mages, it is, you get a 2% crit bonus. So it's like a moonkin aura, like a boomkin aura. So it's really nice for mages at the moment because it has that crit chance, and every mage at the moment is fire, and you want to keep a high crit chance to keep Ignite ticking. I've talked about Ignite in the past, but it's not the time for it. It's basically a damage over time effect that you have to keep critting to keep up on that target. So it's tough to keep it going almost sometimes. So with Atiesh coming out, you need to collect 40 splinters of Atiesh, which are dropped from each boss within the raid. There is a certain percent chance of a boss dropping a splinter of Atiesh in the raid. You need 40 of these. So at the bare minimum, you will need to do three Naxxramas runs and clear all the bosses. So that would mean you kill 45 bosses and you get 40 splinters pretty much. So it's about 3 runs, and you've got to be super lucky. So this can take you months. This could take you about 3 odd months to get the splinters. If you're super unlucky, it could take you 3 weeks. So there's no real way to just get the weapon. Like Sulphurous and like Thunder Fury, it is a drop chance. So you've got to just wait and be patient with it. So after you've collected the 40 splinters, you combine them to make the the frame of Atiesh, and it gives you a quest. You go to Anachronos in the Caverns of Time in Tanaris, and he will say, go and grab the headpiece and the base of Atiesh. And the headpiece and the base are from Kel'Thuzad, who has the headpiece, and Cthulhu, who has the base. And these are 2 end bosses of the last 2 raids. Cthulhu is the last boss in Anchorage, and Kel'Thuzad is the last boss in Naxxramas. So they're still pretty tough. But after you've done that, you go back to him, you put it all together, and then you have to go and cleanse it. Now, to cleanse it, you take a group of 5. You have to be included in that group of 5 because you're the one cleansing it. And you go into Stratholme. You need a good tank, you need a good healer, you need some good DPS. You summon Atiesh, which is a big demon who's the hand of Sargeras. And if you're not a lore nerd, don't worry about it. I'll go into sort of lore podcasts in the future. I kind of want to get into that because lore is such a big part of WoW, and I want to be able to share it with you. But you summon a demon pretty much from the staff, and you defeat the demon. Now this demon is very tough, has some very hard-hitting abilities and mechanics. But after that, you go back to the dragon, hand it in, and you've got your Atiesh. Now, that's the easy part, in all honesty, like the quest for Atiesh. The toughest part of Atiesh is deciding who gets it. So, my guild personally, we won't have a druid who is looking to get that staff. There will be no druid that gets that staff. that's kind of already been decided. It's kind of already been narrowed down to about 4 people, 4, possibly 5. And this is 1 priest, 2 warlocks and a mage. And we're going to be discussing, as we are a loot council guild, we will be discussing like the pros and cons of who would it benefit more, who is it going to go on, who would it benefit the raid group for. So we'll be discussing and figuring out who will be getting the splinters of Atiesh and completing the legendary staff. So we have kind of we're very chilled, the people who are going for Atiesh. We are very chilled people. We won't be like throwing our purses all over the place, like whacking each other, like screaming at each other, you're a moron and stuff like that. We'll just have a sit down, we'll talk about who like possibly wants it, who it won't benefit the most and stuff, and it will be a chilled discussion and we'll come to a nice and easy solution. Other guilds have gone with a different approach. So some guilds just know exactly who it's going to. It's like, it's going to this dude, he's an officer, he's done so much for the guild, easy decision. Others, it will be a DKP role, most likely. So hopefully people have like saved up their DKP. And there's a whole sort of forum page on how people are deciding in their guilds to distribute Atiesh. And some of the comments there, I'm not going to lie, are hilarious. There was one that was something like, we have a druid with a massive like dong or something, so he's definitely getting it. It's just some stupid comments like that, and I just find them hilarious. But there is an entire forum page on who might be getting this one weapon that might not even be relevant like in several months' time, depending on what Blizzard do with WoW Classic. So, you know, it is a big discussion point for many guilds, and it will be decided within the next month, and possibly it can like cause rows within guilds. Like guilds can split up, or not split up, people will split from a guild purely because they don't get a prior on it, and it can cause a lot of problems. But enough about Phase 6. Let's look beyond Phase 6. Now there's 2 options that Blizzard could go down after Phase 6 and the death, air quotes, you can't see them, of WoW Classic, because this is the end point of WoW Classic, Phase 6. We have no idea what is happening after. The 2 logical ideas that people have had, and the ones that are most likely going to be thrown out, are Classic Plus and the Burning Crusade. Now, Classic Plus is basically what it says. You will stay at level 60, but they will just add more and more content to Classic. This could be in the form of arenas, this could be in the form of new raids, but they will be producing more and more content than what they're already doing with like retail and stuff, because WoW Classic team is a lot smaller than the WoW retail team. That's what people need to realise. So coming up with new raid ideas and balancing it for Classic is a lot tougher with a smaller group than coming up with raid ideas for retail and balancing it around like non-world buffs and stuff, like with a bigger group. So the Classic Plus would be amazing to see, because you've worked so hard on your character, you want to keep that character and you want to progress that character, and you don't want to lose that progress that you've made with that character, that journey that you've been through throughout Classic and possibly beyond. So it would be a very cool idea, just brand new raids being thrown into Classic. No one knows what the raids are, no one knows how, like the mechanics, you're just sort of thrown in and you've got to deal with it then and there. And honestly, that would be quite fun, but you'd have to be throwing out so many content updates for Classic Plus for people not to get bored, because unlike retail, Classic doesn't have that much replayability. You actually have an endpoint with Classic, because with retail you've got loads of daily quests to do, you've got loads of corruption stuff to get, not anymore, but you've got to prepare for Shadowlands, you've got a new expansion coming out, there's always something else to do in retail. Whereas Classic, it's about farming the same items to make pots every week for raid. It's about farming the same items to make some gold every week for raid. It's about just doing some battlegrounds because there's no other type of PvP apart from world PvP. So you need that replayability if you're going with Classic Plus, and that's what they would need to add to Classic Plus in order to keep the game going and to keep it surviving. Now, the most likely one, and the one that I believe will come into fruition and be talked to us at BlizzConline or something it's called now, is the Burning Crusade Classic. So this is just the same as Classic, but they will release it as Burning Crusade. So my idea of it is you keep your character on the same realm and they just add Burning Crusade to it. Now this will mean that you journey from level 60 to 70, you go through all the Burning Crusade content, you've got the Burning Crusade raids, the arenas and stuff like that that's been added, and you've got a whole nother expansion to go through and to figure out how to sort of master it again. Now this is good in practice, but again you have that end date. You have that end date, and this will eventually end, because if you go through Burning Crusade Classic, you have Wrath of the Lich King Classic after that. And many people assume that when Cataclysm came out, the third expansion for WoW, that was when WoW died almost. Because it changed the entire WoW, like, it literally changed the entirety of WoW. The entire continents, absolutely everything. You could fly in Kalimdor, Stormwind, Ironforge, stuff like that, major cities. So once you get to the end of Wrath of the Lich King Classic, then you would have to make a decision if it's like Wrath of the Lich King Plus, whereas why wouldn't you just do that with Classic Plus to begin with? It would financially make more sense for them to bring out the Burning Crusade, because at least then you've got a couple more years worth of content. You've got the Burning Crusade Classic and you've got Wrath of the Lich King Classic. So you have a couple more years of content with them two expansions, and it buys you a couple more years of planning what to do after that. Now, would it just be that it dies off and like Wrath of the Lich King is where it ends and you just have to head back to retail? Even so, that might not be fun, because people have spent so much time on it, on them characters, that they might think that that is the main game, that is the main World of Warcraft, that is retail to them. Whereas WoW retail, which is going into Shadowlands now, is the actual game progressing. Like, that will never stop. Whereas this has a potential end date constantly. Everyone's constantly wondering what will happen to it, when will it die, when will it stop like giving content and stuff. So it'll be really intriguing to see what path they go down. But I do believe that they will give us Nax in December, Phase 6, which has been confirmed. And then when they do BlizzConline, that is when they will announce whether it's Burning Crusade, Classic Plus, or just nothing. The game will just die off and you just got to accept it. Go back to retail. But I think they'll go with the Burning Crusade Classic. I think that's the most logical explanation, and I think it's the best to buy them time, to give them more money pretty much. It's more financially sound for them, in all honesty. But that'll be all today, guys. I'm kind of curious as to what they'll do in the future, but we just got to wait and see, in all honesty. I'd like to talk to you guys quickly about something. I'm hosting a competition on my Pig and Whistle Facebook page. The link will be down in the description, so please check it out. If you like the page on Facebook, you'll be automatically entered into the competition. You can do so with the same on Instagram. You can like the Instagram page, and that will mean that you've got 2 nominations in that competition. The prize is really cool. It is something that I've had a while ago, but just never really got around to it, and I've got loads of them sitting around, so it's nice to, you know, give something back to you guys. It'll be a great Christmas present. It's great for if you're just a collector of items, but it definitely is worth the prize just by liking the Pig and Whistle Facebook and stuff. So would really appreciate it if you go and check it out. And I do want to say once again that we've got the Pig and Whistle website now up as well. Again, link is down in the description. It looks fantastic. It's an absolutely amazing job. And I couldn't be more happy with the website and how it turned out. And one last little thing, I do want to go over the Patreon stuff again. It is so meaningful that you guys turn up to every podcast and listen to it. And I couldn't be more appreciative. I would like to give so much more to you guys for listening, but I can only do so with your support as well. And the Patreon is the best way to show me that you guys are really supportive and want me to do more and get a community together and push more content out. The Pig and Whistle Patreon is www.patreon.com/Pig and Whistle. Any donation that can be given would be so appreciative, and it will really show your support even more than what you're showing me already. And again, you can cancel that Patreon subscription anytime. You're not like contracted to it for a year. It's whenever you want. You can hop in and out, stuff like that. You'll get additional benefits with it, of course, extra podcasts and many other things. But thank you all very much for listening, guys. It's very appreciated as always, and go with valor, friend. Goodbye all.